Well, hi, good morning. Thank you for coming and joining me in my shop here. It's March 4th today. It's been a few days since I worked on this radio because I was waiting for a package to come in the mail. And look at that, that package has come in the mail. And in this package is 2 tubes for this radio. One is to replace a very weak tube, which I did not have a replacement myself. And the other one is a new magic eye tube, because I'd already noticed the magic eye tube in the radio was dead. So what I want to do first off is test the tube that's been sent to me. Now I purchased these tubes from a company in Hamilton, Ontario called the Tube Store. Over the years I've purchased quite a few tubes from them. Very, very fast turnaround and always a good tube. Let's see what we got here. Great big snowflakes. Well, I don't need more snow. There's still lots of snow outside. And we have 2 tubes. EM84, which is the magic eye tube. I believe these are NOS, never been used. New old stock, that's what NOS stands for. ECB 81, made in Holland. A Dutch tube. I thought they'd send me one with a North American version. It looks brand new to me. I'm sure it is. Another NOS tube. Let's just compare. This is the bad one. This is the good one. And you see they look essentially identical inside. This is branded Pope. I don't know that this is actually NOS. This might be a modern tube. I don't know. Is somebody making these tubes though? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. So we're going to put this in the tube tester even though it looks brand new. I think it's crazy for me to test it, but I think I will. Oh wait a minute, I had so much trouble testing those tubes. I'll think about it. Maybe we'll just put it right in the radio. Yeah, why don't we just put it right in the radio and see what happens. Let's do that. Skip the tube testing because it looks brand new. So we're going to pop it in. So this radio has been weak in the audio, weak audio the whole time. And my impression from what I've done is that it's all about this tube I just put in. Well, it's going to take me a couple of minutes to get this thing set up with speakers and to clear the pile of snow off my bench now. So I'm going to stop for a bit and do that. Okay, I just have a little wee bit of anxiety or trepidation about doing this since the original rectifier is still in this radio, selenium rectifier, but I think we'll be okay for a quick test. We're going to gamble here, tiny gamble. Now, I have to remind myself how to operate the radio. It's off. I've got an FM antenna connected, shortwave antenna connected, and the broadcast band antenna is there. Should be able to test everything quickly. Then I'll attend to the rectifier and the issues related to that. Okay, volume is turned down. I did not put the magic eye tube in. We're saving that for a little bit down the road. And we're ready. So first, power on, switch is off, nothing's happening. 113 volts. Let's just... It's really odd. I don't know why that's low. 118 volts, but on my supply meter here it says almost 127. I noticed that a little while ago. I don't know why. Not going to worry about it. Okay. Good. Everything's good. Okay, we're going to turn it on to broadcast. That's going to make those lights come on nice and bright over there briefly. Again, the button is not holding, but and I don't think it actually turned on here. Let's try again. Button's down. Well, it's probably turned on, but it's drawing enough load. Oh, I'll shut up. Tons of volume.
No one cares. Greg Hardy is relevant, and it gets back. It actually ties into the beginning part of our conversation, which is the UFC's model for building up people. They go, well, at least Greg Hardy's a name. You know, people know who his name is. Yeah.
So on the broadcast band, yeah, we're at 590. 590 would just be a little higher on the dial than where it is. But that's good reception. Let's give it the full Monty here. A little more volume. In fact, so much volume you can't get rid of it now. Wonderful. Let's see what happened on FM. Hello, calling FM. Now I find that these vintage of radios, FM radios, you need to tune them dead on to get proper sound. They don't seem to have any kind of AFC sort of range of acceptable tuning. You know, in most modern FM radios, you get close to the station, it kind of snaps in a little bit, gives you a broad range to get good sound. But on these, I find it very, very sharp. Let's try again here. Now we got to watch out for the music. Where'd it go? We're still way something not right here. Where'd it go? Sounds good, but the volume is very, very low. So we're still in trouble with FM. Let's go another. See if I can find that talk station. Should be around 91.5.
And there's a love there that, like, I have never heard anyone sort of go into that world so deeply and express the love that they feel for this woman who they have.
So I think we're still in trouble on FM, unfortunately. Very low output still, and the strong signal sounded fairly clear. This should be pretty clear too. There's really no trouble with receiving this. Just to give you an example, I'll flip on another radio here.
News coverage about a missing person. Everybody in their life wants to help and say, hey, you know, this woman's missing. Okay, well, we didn't find out for 9 years, but now we know that
someone saw something.
Someone saw something, and we're going to find out.
That's what it should sound like.
Aliens are, because they are related to her, friend of hers, there's no being comes and sort of and accepts her and says, I know.
As for where it's tuning, it's just about bang on 91.5. Okay, well, that's kind of what I expected. I was kind of secretly hoping that maybe the FM would come completely to life, but it's got separate problems. Could be alignment very easily. Could just be alignment at this point. Pretty sure I tested this tube good. This is often the cause of. This is the FM tube. It's often the cause of this kind of thing. I don't think it is in this particular case. Maybe I should retest that tube. But good enough for now. Off she goes, and we're going to pay attention now to solving the, not really solving the problem, but avoiding a bad problem from happening with the unreliable selenium rectifier. Maybe what I'll do right now is see how hot it got during that little time period. Put this up. break off. I can't feel any, well, the slightest amount of heat in it now. This wasn't on very long. I have found selenium rectifiers in 3 different states. One is like this one, appearing to be in good shape. Nothing really seems to be wrong with it. I mean, it's all hidden inside this aluminum box, so we can't really see it. Others that have the plates in the open, I have seen where the surface of the plates is peeling away, it's curling up, and so it's beginning to fail. And I found them running hot, hotter than I would imagine they should be. So that's why I've never had one burn. I've never had a radio handed to me with a burned one inside it, but I have heard horror stories about it. And the most recent one from someone who wrote me an email, I think his name was Charles, was the idea that a defect in here, a short circuit in here essentially, can ruin this transformer so fast you can't take action. Now I would think a fuse would cover that problem, but I guess not in that case. So that's the risk here. And the other risk is my radio coming on spontaneously. What's going on? What the heck just happened? Okay. Nothing really happened there. I guess I thought I turned it off. I only half turned it off. And I kind of lost track of what I was saying. Yeah, like that just cleared my brain. Okay, that's good. With a clear brain and a little bit of coffee, and I'll start. I already mapped out how I want to do this. I'm going to put in a terminal strip, 4 diodes, and build a diode-based rectifier, silicon diode-based rectifier to replace that one. Probably just leave this sitting where it is, never take it out of the radio. Just move the wires around. I remember there was a lot of slack wires in there, so this should be pretty easy to do. Should be. So I've got the parts I need to make the to put in the new rectifiers. I think the first thing I need to do though is check the B plus on this radio to find out what it actually is. It's pretty simple. The positive contacts right there, the B plus contacts right there. According to the schematic, it should be 250 volts. Okay, let me just check. Good. Okay, let me turn it on and turn down the volume, which is down. 250 volts. Should be there right away. .282 volts. .117. This says 110. Let's guess I'm at 110. Whoa. 265. So one of the things about changing from the selenium rectifier to diodes is the diodes have a very low voltage drop. The selenium rectifier has a higher voltage drop, could be 5 or 10 volts, I'm not sure. So that extra voltage will show up in the B+. So instead of being 250, it might be 260. We've already seen that in fact it's running much higher. And I don't know how critical the B plus really is. 250, 260, 280, is it really going to make that much difference in the operation of the radio? So, and the fact that it's not low, it's high. You can hear some static coming out of the radio here. The fact that it's low, that it's high and not low already, really suggests that that rectifier is fine. Yeah, I'm going to think about this a little bit. So I've been talking to the internet here, and the internet has told me that in radios just like this, with selenium rectifiers just like that, chances of failure are actually quite low. The selenium rectifier got its reputation from American-made selenium rectifiers, cheap ones in cheap radios. And I think I mentioned I did change one in a radio just a short while ago, and it was clearly degrading. So there is a test that can be done on it. You can operate the radio, measure the B plus like I did, leave it operating for an extended period, like half an hour, and then measure it again. The comment was, if it's sagged 10 volts, the voltage has gone down 10 volts, then maybe you should think about changing it. But there was a lot of comments about them being quite reliable, because they're German built and they used a different technique. I mean, this looks totally different. This is just an aluminum box as compared to the open style that I don't think I still have it kicking around here to show you, but there's a completely different looking style of selenium rectifier. So on the basis of the other thing is, I have extremely cold feet over doing this, and the reason is because when I was about 19, I attempted to replace a 5U4 in my great big old Hammerland shortwave radio, and it didn't go well. After I put the diodes in and switched the unit on, I that's a bad word, the power transformer went defective in it within a matter of about a minute. I don't know to this day, did I make a mistake with the diodes, or is there something secretive about this? I don't know. It took me 6 months to get another transformer for that radio. I've had that radio in my shop here since then, but at the moment I blew it, I said to myself, oh boy, you took a risk you didn't realize, and now you're paying the price. Actually, I paid $60 for the big new toroidal transformer. So, but ever since then, I've been very hesitant about doing this kind of thing. Now, in that case, it was a tube being replaced with silicon. That's quite different. That's a lot different than changing a selenium rectifier with regular diodes like these. So I'm going to ponder it a little more. Another thing I could do is check its temperature more carefully. Why don't we do this? We'll do this. We'll do the test again. Let me put on the unit. There was a comment that if a radio like this has been sitting for a long time, turning it on may cause the rectifier to fail immediately. Now, perhaps in Charles's story that was the case. Charles, the fellow, wrote me an email and said that the main transformer got blown from a defective selenium rectifier, and perhaps it happened in that way. It had been sitting for a long time. Now, this guy has been sitting for a long time, but I've operated it quite a number of times here in my shop. It's not in that state anymore. Okay, so we'll check again. $263. Okay, I'm just going to leave this running like this for about a half an hour, and then we will double check. I just do not like doing work that's not really necessary or indicated, because there's no limit. There's no limit if you're not operating with indications. Okay, we'll just leave it sitting here, playing away. Well, it's just been running for maybe 5 minutes, but I thought maybe I would check it for temperature. I have a very nice thermal viewer here, And I've been looking at it through this, and it's not even showing up as compared to the things you can probably see on my screen here are actually parts of the circuit board here which are showing up as warm, but nothing is hot. And that's probably because of vacuum tubes right on the other side of the board here. So trying to see this guy, I don't see it at all. Okay. Now, do I dare stick my finger in there? It's very hard to feel heat this way. But for sure, if it was really warm, I would feel it. There's no heat in it. All good indications. And while I'm here, I might as well take a look right now. Has anything happened to the voltage? Gone up a bit. Not down, it's gone up. 266. And that's at 110, 109, yeah, 110 volts. A little low. Most people's homes are around 117. We'll let it go longer. Okay, it's been about a half an hour. Let's see, voltage sag or not. Exactly the same voltage, 266. Heat building up or not. I don't think I see any heat in it there. I want to get a shock here. There's no heat in this at all. Nothing at all. Okay, that's the end of the test. I think I'm going to forego changing it out. You know, if it's survived this long and is in that kind of condition, which seems to be perfectly fine, I think it'd be a little absurd to change it out and take a risk of something worse happening. Okay, what are we left with? Well, we're left with a weak FM. Well, it's now March 5th, and I'm about to start some challenging troubleshooting on this radio. So just a quick recap. I've replaced one tube here, which I thought would solve the low volume from the radio, and it appears to have done that on the AM shortwave side. But on the FM side, it didn't seem to make much difference, which is very hard for me to explain. Nevertheless, what it means is there's something going on with the FM side of this receiver, which is making it weak. So this is a challenging thing for me to hunt down, and I've been pondering how to do this. Now, most of the FM tuner circuitry is buried inside this box here, and it's the kind of stuff you don't get in there and poke around. That's not a good idea. There are some adjustments up here, which I may eventually get around to for an alignment. And it has its own tube mounted right on top of the box here. This is a double triode amplifier tube boosting the FM signal. Now, I tested that tube early on. It tested good. I just tested it again before I started this video. And it tests really good. Both halves of it test really good. So I can't imagine that's the problem. So the output from this tuner is right here, easily accessible. And it runs in a shielded cable down through here, pops out on the board just where I'm pointing down here. So maybe a good starting point is to try to figure out what is coming out of this tuner. That's a little challenging in itself. What's coming out of here is coming out at 10.7 megahertz. And I guess it would be, yeah, it would still be FM at that point. It's FM all the way to late in the radio after the IFs. It's FM all the way. So how can I figure out what is coming out of here hooking up equipment and that may not be a good idea because it's going to alter the circuit enough that the results I get may not be true. So I've come up with somewhat of a harebrained idea, which may not be so harebrained, considering I don't have a lot of hair in the first place. And that is, why not try to use my SDR, which can be set to FM and can be tuned to the frequency coming out of here, which is 10.7 megahertz. And if I can somehow pick this signal up here with my SDR radio, we can look and see what's coming out of here. Now, judging it for strength and that, well, I don't know. But I think it's worth a try at this. So I'm going to repeat something I did just before I started this video. Usually everything I'm doing on these videos is completely live. I don't rehearse or do anything ahead of time, but I did in this case. So my SDR radio is running. This is the antenna lead from the SDR, and I have it hooked up to this too fancy looking little coil. There's just a little coil of wire here. Nothing special at all. I use this as a pickup. Now you see I have a radio here. So we're going to turn this radio on. Going to turn it to FM. Then we're going to try to pick up the 10.7 megahertz signal that's in this radio and see if we can spot it on the SDR. Now, I've already done this, so frankly I know this will work. I'm quite surprised. It's a little hard for me to show you both. Well, no, it isn't. You know what? I'm going to stop and just reset my camera screens here so you can watch both the SDR and what I'm doing with that probe and that radio at the same time. Okay, so we're looking at my SDR, and the big screen in the bottom right corner, of course, is this radio we're going to experiment with. The SDR is tuned to 10.7. You can see that up here. So this red line is sitting on 10.7. If the radio I'm testing has a standard IF in it, FM IF, it'll also be 10.7. And I'm going to look for something showing up right in here. Maybe not big, just anything to prove that I can do this. I'm using a little pickup coil. Maybe it's not going to pick much up. I'm using a radio, may not exude much signal. So, but the thing about the SDR is it's a radio receiver. It's fairly sensitive. Okay, so now we'll turn on the radio here. Turn up the volume.
He's proud of it, and he hopes one day his own grandkids will feel this.
Okay, I'm going to turn up the volume on the SDR so we can hear that. Just in the background. Now, this is on. You can see that there's some effect from doing various things here. Okay, let's go hunting for it. So looking right where the red line is, hoping something will pop up. It may not be too big. Now I already know where to put this probe, so I'm faking this. I don't do this very often. I don't do this ever, actually. I'm always doing these things live. Of course, this is the rule of a demonstration. It never works. Demonstrations never work, Jim. Oh, this one worked better than the first time. Wow. Okay, right about there. Now, we're listening to the SDR. You see it's clicked on AM. Here, we're going to click it to wide FM. I'm going to turn it up. Okay, so what this has done for me, it's proven that this method can work. That the SDR can pick up 10.7. Can do it out of a radio with a coil, even. had really envisioned myself hooking the antenna wires up to the big radio, but maybe I just put the coil near it there. We saw the kind of signal that's coming out of this radio. I don't know if it's in any way comparable. I mean, it really isn't. It really isn't comparable. I don't know what level of signal is likely to be coming out of this radio, but we're going to do the same thing with it. Now you know I have not tried this with this big radio, so I don't even have the power cord hooked up to it. And did I mention, since this is the most likely bad actor, a weak tube here, I pulled that out and tested it again before making this video. And it is strong, strong like bull. Okay, we have the speakers connected and the radio plugged in, the tubes in place. I think we're good to go here. Volume down, radio's off, flip on the power. Dim bulbs. We'll start with broadcast here just because I like to do that. There we are. You have to push this twice to make it stick. Okay, all looks well. Full power. Full volume. Oh, we don't need so much anymore. Very good. Now we'll flip it to FM. Volume check. Sounds pretty quiet to me. I have no antenna on this radio. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The radio has to tune something in. Okay, I forgot something here. The radio has to tune something in to be producing something here. Because whatever it produces here essentially comes out the speaker. Nothing going in, nothing coming out. Could hook up an antenna, we could tune in a station. That's probably not a bad idea, but my little test antenna leads have broken off. Why don't we go for using a piece of test equipment? Because we can use this as a set level input, and I know what this is. This guy is strong. Even on his lowest setting, he's a strong guy. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I can actually get this going pretty quick. Here's the antenna leads. Just give me a second here. That's me being the antenna. Okay, we're going to hook this guy up here. The output I will turn down to minimum on here. It's a minimum. It's 100 megahertz transmitter. It's stuck on 100 megahertz, so we got to tune this guy to 100 down to here. Wow, there's nothing low about that. That's because I have the volume way up. Yeah, I did have it way up. I had the volume way up. Okay, so we'll tune it in again. That's a whopper of a signal. Is it just that I've had a piece of crap antenna on this thing the whole time? So these radios are, they're completely designed, including the antenna, and the antenna is designed for this radio. So the engineers know the parameters of the antenna that they have designed in the cabinet. I think I showed that on an early video. Does it amount to the same sort of thing as my folded dipole antenna? I don't know. Could it be that the only problem with this has just been a crap antenna? Well, it could be. That would explain why changing this tube made the AM side come loud, but the FM side remained quiet, because the poor thing's never had a good antenna. Poor thing. Let's try this experiment though. because I'm all set up to do it anyway. Okay, so we can hear what the receiver's receiving. Let's just make sure it's tuned in nicely. So I think I mentioned these old FM radios need to be tuned very carefully, not like a modern radio where you just get close to the station and it gets sucked in right on target. These things don't do that. They have no automatic frequency control in them. At least I don't think so. Okay, watching the SDR, I'm going to wave this around. Well, there is something showing up there to the left. Well, that's quite interesting. The red line represents 10.7 exactly. Let me just leave this laying here and tune the radio a little bit. See, you'd expect it to be best like this. So I think this is suggesting, what is it suggesting exactly? Maybe suggesting that there's an alignment issue here. I'm going to think about this a little bit. So these guys, if they're tuned correctly, the two IF cans, they're tuned for 10.7. What's coming at them right now is not quite 10.7. That could be a strong reason for weakness. You know, this is a great idea. I really like this. This is a fantastic idea. Wish I'd thought of it earlier. So things appear to be drifting a little bit. It's probably this piece of equipment. So I'm going to leave this sitting here, everything running, radio running, and that piece of equipment running. We're going to let it settle down for a few sips of coffee. And then I got to deal with my telephone apparently. And we'll come back and we'll continue these experiments. This is really, I'm liking this. Okay, it's been, well, I don't know, maybe half an hour. And what happened? I can hear it. I don't really see it on there anymore. So it could be the radio receiver has drifted, but it's actually more likely my test equipment has drifted a bit. The pointer here is pointing just above 100. Let's just tune the radio and see what happens here. Oh, okay. Kind of interesting. Sounds really pretty good, but not at 10.7. So what? So I'm seeing what's going into the IF. Let me turn this down here. I'm seeing what is going into the IF. Can I see what's coming out of the IF? That's a good question. The intermediate frequency stages. Put this down here. The reason I use this handy coil here is because it's all covered. I don't worry about shortening anything out. There it is again. That's quite interesting. So there's what I have to imagine. I'm picking the signal up from right in this area here, because it disappears and reappears over here. So this is the output side. I just dip it down in this area here. So we're looking at the output of the IF. Ooh, look at that. There you go. Beautiful, strong signal there. What a fantastic way of doing this. Now, what does this mean? Turn it up a little bit. I'm going to listen to it. Let's go all the way through. The SDR is a little slow in response. Let me put this up a little higher. Frequency. See what that looks like. Definitely quite happy down here in this area. I can change the amount of, it's FM, so you have the carrier frequency of 100 megacycles, and then it's varying that frequency back and forth. That's what we're seeing on the SDR. I can change the degree of variation. Let me see if I can just set this down here somewhere where it'll stay put. Good. Excellent. Look at that. And it looks strong now. So I'm going to increase the deviation in the signal. We'll see what it looks like. So it should be 75. Be right here. This is the standard for a FM station. We can go up to 5 kilohertz. That's coming through loud and clear. I can't explain why it looks so different up there. I don't know, but go down like this and go down to 400. And where are we on the volume? We're barely up on the volume. So I think this thing's been suffering from bad antenna. Nothing more. And then there's a question about the alignment. Having this set up and using the SDR like this makes me want to risk fiddling with the alignment. This is not a stereo. This is a mono FM receiver, so it really shouldn't be any more difficult than doing a regular AM radio. But more difficult. I'm going to try to solve the antenna situation. I have an active antenna, active FM antenna I had out here some time ago, fiddling around with, so I'm a little comfortable bringing that out and trying to set it up. This isn't the greatest place in the world for listening to FM or for picking up FM in here, but an FM radio, well, I just worked on a transistor one last night. I haven't posted the video for it, and it was picking up stations left and right, and in the center too. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to leave this set up the way it is, and we'll abandon using the equipment. I'm going to leave it on because it's warmed up now. I may want to use it. And we'll bring in this other antenna. Where is it? I have to solve the problem of where it is first. Then we'll bring it in and set it up. Okay, here's the antenna. Techniques FM wing antenna. Really cool looking thing. Fooled around with this on a video maybe a month ago or a month or two ago, and discovered that there's circuitry inside here. This is a tuning knob, and what I failed to recognize at that time was how this tuning works. It has a couple of varactor diodes inside it. I remember looking at the circuit diagram and seeing the diodes and just not being able to comprehend what was going on. So that's how it works. It has a battery in it, switch on the back to put it onto auto mode or manual mode. Battery check. Battery is good. So I have the output connected to a test lead. But the first thing we want to do is see the output from this antenna on the SDR. I think that would be a good idea. So let's go back to the SDR view here. Well, okay. Yeah, good. There I am. What's he talking about? I don't know. So we want to take the antenna output and hook it up to be the input to the SDR. So we'll get rid of this coil. Hook this guy up here. And I've got to change the tuning frequency up here to, let's say, 100. This is where the signal generator is operating. Put 100 in the middle of the screen. Make this 100 again. So I think, let's see, I don't think the tuning does anything right now. I have to flip this into what they call auto mode. Maybe I got this all backwards. Don't see much happening. Manual, yeah, that's right. I think auto is nothing. Auto didn't work right. That's what I remember. This should work. Well, I don't see any effect at all. Let's find a station here to tune in. How about my usual station I like, 91.5. What's happening here? How come it's like this? We're on. Yikes! What did I just do to my SDR? Whoops. Uh-oh. I've discombobulated the SDR screen here and lost the upper part. Wait a minute. Wait, I got Vic in second. Okay. Oh, I apologize for saying that. I try my best never to say that, and it still comes out of my mouth. 91.5. There's nothing there. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong here? This is a terrible way to look at this. I gotta stop and sort out my SDR. I'm kind of blowing up the screen here. Okay, I know what's wrong. I failed to change something here on the SDR. Stop it. Click the gear. Have to change this to quadrature sampling. Once you get above this SDR above about 25 megahertz, you have to make this switch. There we go. Nothing. Still nothing. Why nothing? Hooked up. Partially because I've hooked this up completely wrong. So right now the SDR is using this antenna. There's just nothing there. There's nothing there. What is going on? Something funny is going on. This is foolish what I did here. SDR is not responding at all. What's the problem? Something wrong with this? Oh! I have to also switch the input on the SDR. This one has two antenna inputs, and it must be on the right one. UVHF. Let's go. Now we're cooking.
And we're going to a tunnel downtown.
That's the SDR radio you're listening to. It's running on these wires. Okay, we'll hook it up to the wing antenna. Big improvement already. It's better half hooked up. Okay, let me turn this down. Okay, now we'll fiddle around with the wing antenna. Tune it. So the SDR has its own automatic volume control type system in it. Sometimes when you increase the signal strength into the SDR. It's really the noise that goes up and down. Well, I seem to get a pretty good signal here. I don't see any tuning action really, except you see the noise level go up and down. Up, down. Okay, there's actually indicators on here. It's tuned according to this 103, not 91. Let's re-aim the antenna and see what kind of action we get out of that. Well, hard to say. Hard to say. Okay, we're going to turn off these crazy people here. Yeah, that's the CBC here in Canada. They put on a lot of entertainment type radio programs, including some awfully goofy stuff. Okay, so I'm going to hook this antenna up to this radio. We're going to see what happens. That's the next move here. Okay, unconvinced that this antenna is really behaving well. So we're still tuned to the signal generator. The signal generator output leads are just hanging here. The radio's picking it up. Now we'll see what else we can find. And I had to turn that way up to get there. Where am I? Tuning upwards here. So a normal volume would be something like that. I'm getting nothing. I really think any crappy antenna should do the job here. I have a crappy antenna. The SDR is meaningless at this point. I'll just leave it the way it is. Turn this way up.
Appraisal and home inspections to offers and final closing.
It's never clear.
His reputation and his 27 years of experience.
So I'm tuning it across.
Trevor Shot.
Let's try another station. Full volume too. There's a goofy people.
What out of this world attraction had this holiday traveler so it's the SpaceX commercial space flight that people can take, but it only has Elon Musk's Joe Rogan interview as in-flight entertainment. That would be upsetting.
Some kind of weird balance effect here that's not working right.
Inaccurate. Very good guess. Does anyone know the real answer? No? Star Wars Hotel is opening. You're correct, Miguel Rivas, for the point. Yes, it is the new Star Wars. Good Lord. Disney's immersive attraction, Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, opening again this week.
I did not. I was trying to avoid that. You can see how much volume is capable out of this thing, that's for sure. I'm flipping between shortwave and FM. So we'll go back to FM. I want to move the button very slowly this time. Come on over, have a ringside seat. I'm suspicious that the switch isn't working as well as it could. Okay, here we go. It never jumped to life during that.
Rooms and lack of luxury.
Well, it could be a component. It could be alignment. We've seen some indications here that the alignment is off. If you can have a radio essentially properly aligned to the wrong spot, it should work okay. dial might be a little off or something like that. But that's certainly true of an AM radio. FM, so if it's a little bit off, that could suggest that quite a number of things are a little bit off in it. If you know one thing's off track, maybe more things are off track also. Most of the FM alignment activities take place in this box and these two boxes here. You can't see it, but on the back are some openings to put in a adjustment. So before jumping into an alignment, I think I need to think about this a little bit. Aligning is not something you want to just go at. On an AM radio, you're working with fairly low frequencies. On an FM radio, you're working with higher frequencies. They're more prone to difficulties in working on the radio, as I have learned over the years. So it's not something I want to jump right into. What else could it be other than a component? How else could I figure out if there's a solid signal coming out of this? It seemed weak up here. I think it's coming out at the wrong frequency up here, not 10.7 but something else. If these are tuned to 10.7 and this thing is shooting out 10.4, there will be a sweet spot where you get the most, the way it's arranged. And perhaps that's what's happening. And the most is not enough because it's out of alignment. So these could be looking for 10.7. This thing's serving up 10.4. Something like that. With the SDR, the addition of the SDR and the ability to see the output here so clearly, I'm really encouraged to do the alignment thing. I think I might even leave it there right now for today. I'm not sure how much video I have. I'm usually aiming for around an hour's worth of video. Usually means about an hour and a half or 2 hours in my shop here, sometimes more. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it at this right now. And tomorrow we'll get into seriously get into an alignment thing. I think that's probably the best move. We'll see what we can get out of it. If I'm careful, I won't wreck it. And we'll find out at the end of that whether the alignment is the issue or not. If it is, we're done. If it's not, then there's some other issue going on here. But my guess is it's weak coming right out of the tuner. Better change that. My guess is it's coming out at the wrong frequency from the tuner and it's getting through the rest of the radio weakly. That's a better way of putting it. Thanks a lot for watching, and tomorrow alignment looms. See ya.